So interviewing techniques. We have the non-directive interview, which is open-ended questions. In the structured interview, only ask questions that are on the list. Situational interview has a high validity. Behavior interview tends to have the highest validity. Panel interview reduces bias. When I was with the government, what I engaged in was behavioral interviews, and they were in a panel setting, and they were also structured. This is what I found to be very, very reliable, because people can only ask what's on the list. They can't ask questions that they come up with on their own, because if you allow people to do that, you can probably set yourself up for a lawsuit. And with the behavioral, we wanted to see how people will behave in certain situations and allow them to articulate that. And by having a panel, we would have at least 3 people on the panel. By having at least 3 people on the panel, it was definitely designed to reduce the bias. So here you see sample interview questions. So I will not read through all of these, but you can see the difference. I'll read the first one because it's motivating employees. So here's a situational interview. Suppose you were working with an employee who you knew greatly disliked performing a particular task. You needed to get the task completed, however, and this person was the only one available to do it. What would you do to motivate that person? Behavior. Think about an instance when you had to motivate an employee to perform a task that they dislike, but that you needed to have done. How did you handle that situation? So we used to ask the behavioral type. So you can go through and read that. You can see that right there. So with the interviews, you have some advantages and some disadvantages. The advantages was, talking to people face to face and getting a chance to see what they're like in real life and stuff. Interviews provide a means to check accuracy against information against their application and resume in case somebody's lied to you. Disadvantages, it can be unreliable. It can be low validity. It can be biased against different groups. They are definitely costly, and they can be subjective. One of the ways you can eliminate some of these disadvantages is to try to ensure that you put good people, prepare them properly, and put good people on the panel. And it can eliminate most of that right there. Prepare for the interview. It's one of the things that I tell people. I don't care who you are, how much experience you have in the field or whatever else in your career field, you still have to prepare for an interview. It's like practicing something. A lot of times people think because they're experienced in their job and they know their career field that they don't need to prepare for an interview. Well, this is not what you do every day. You don't interview every day. You do your job every day. Interviewing every day is how you prepare for how to go through the process of interviewing. And when people don't do it, and they don't, it shows. It's like I've seen times when you have somebody who has a great resume, they have a great extensive experience, and they fail to prepare for the interview, and they did lousy in the interview, and they didn't advance in the hiring process. Selection decisions, how organizations select employees. I've not seen the compensatory model that much. I haven't heard about it that much. The multi-hurdle model is what I'm familiar with, and this is what I heard a lot about. Candidates eliminated at each stage of the selection process until one applicant or some applicants remain. Selection decisions. So once a decision is made, now you get an offer. It's usually a verbal phone call. They talk to you, and then they follow it up with an email or a letter in the mail. And they usually give you like a certain time frame to respond. If you don't accept it right then on the phone, then they will give you usually something like 48 hours. That concludes the rest of chapter 6.